Let's talk about film, everyone. One of the first motion pictures created was of a black man riding a horse, taken to understand the way horses move. That horse's name is Annie, but the man riding the horse, there is no written history of him at all. From the beginning, film has erased people of color and their relationship to the environment. My internship was with Basilica Bio, a black-led environmental nonprofit based here in Seattle. Working here introduced me to the art of environmental communication and quickly became a space where I could discuss my thoughts on how film and environment intersect. Working with my title, The Lorax, Dorsetta Taylor, and me, the Lorax here not only represents movies, but also deeply beloved cultural products steeped in problematic history. Although we call various forms of media entertainment, we cannot deny the fact that what we see or may not see has the ability to influence us. Dorsetta Taylor represents resistance towards environmental racism. The environmental movement is rooted in classism, racism, and sexism that created the nation we see today. Race has become an undeniable variable when it comes to environmental injustices. This is now just a fact. And lastly, me. I'm just a girl who watches a lot of movies and studies environmental racism, and was shocked when watching Night at the Museum and seeing Sacagawea falling in love with Theodore Roosevelt, who was known for racist remarks towards Indigenous folks. So, my thesis is this. Films perpetuate environmental racism, but audience awareness tools, such as the Edmond test, created by me, can help identify and challenge these patterns. Raise your hand if you know about the Bechdel test. Beautiful. For anyone who doesn't know, the Bechdel test, created by Alison Bechdel, is a criterion asking for better and more consistent representation of women on the big screen. The criteria includes 1, have at least 2 women, 2, who talk to each other, 3, about something other than a man. Using this as a blueprint, I created the Edmond test, the environmental justice version of the Bechdel test. The criteria includes 1, does an environmental issue exist? And 2, do 2 people of color discuss an environmental issue? So, putting the Edmond test to the test, I conducted what I call Operation Watch Party. I randomly selected 25 movies from a list of 200 of the highest grossing movies of all time, recruited 10 of my friends and family, and gave them 3 weeks to watch 5 movies each. The results of Operation Watch Party showed that only 1 movie passed, and that was a 2025 live-action Lilo and Stitch. Every other movie failed, which is very interesting because I had not 1, not 2, but 3 Jurassic Park movies that all failed mainly because they didn't have people of color in the cast to begin with. Whether or not you decide to use the Edmond test, there are a few other ways you can look out for environmental racism on film. This includes colonial aesthetics, land, and representation of people of color. First is colonial aesthetics, described as the visual and representational ways through which colonialism shapes meaning, perception, and value. It can lead to reinforcing myths such as progress versus savagery, which we see a lot within American history, especially around the time of Manifest Destiny. For example, the iconic American cowboy. Often seen as a white man riding a horse, this imagery does not reflect demographics explained by historians. In fact, white cowboys rarely existed, but were mainly Black, Indigenous, and Latinx. Second is simply viewing land as a place for a story to unfold. Land is more than just a backdrop, but can convey its own language and messages without fully turning to defined words or ideas. The land is always talking, you just may not know how to understand it. For example, depictions of American slavery have been shaped by the romanticization of traditional Old South narratives within film. But within that very soil lie generations and people who were forgotten over time. Films should acknowledge the plantation as a persistent but ugly blueprint of our world today. And finally is representation of people of color. As Operation Watch Party showed, there is a serious lack of stories focusing on people of color. This oversaturation leads to a type of amnesia based on the belief of forgive and forget, created to favor those with higher privileges. Such perpetuation is not a passive process. Such perpetuation is not a passive process. It greatly affects who does and does not interact with the environment, as well as whose voices are heard on such topics. And we see this today, with people of color having some of the lowest recreational outdoor numbers. Yes. Environmental racism exists, and there are crumbs of it in a lot of movies because movies represent what we allow ourselves to collectively imagine. All I am asking is for you all to think critically about what you are seeing on your screen and to have conversations around the movies you watch. The main focus of this project is to keep the man riding the horse, people like the man riding the horse, in main focus. If the climate crisis continues at the rate we are at, then who knows? Maybe a single film strip could be the last representation of our time on Earth. I want to thank my faculty advisor, Erin Gilbert, my Basilica Bio team, my friends and my family who weren't able to make it today, Dorsetta Taylor for revolutionizing what it means to be an environmentalist, and the one that I am always doing it for, little Makenzie. Okay. Any questions? Yes, you. Yes, great question. So for those who didn't hear, they asked what is important when I was making the Edmond test. This was a challenge for me because big shoes to fill for the Bechtel test. But the main thing is I wanted it to be simple. I wanted people who may not know much about environmentalism to also be able to use it, and also for it to be able to apply to a wide variety of movies. Yes. Yes, great question. So for those who didn't hear, it was, are there any recommendations for movies that do kind of pass the Edmond test? I will say I just watched Wicked for Good, and that was amazing. I think they do a great job of talking about environmental like racism issues, and then also I think it did pass the Edmond test. After I walked out, I was like, yes, check. Yeah. Thank you so much.